Welcome to Live Fit with me, Stace Holland, the show where I help you find your fit and find your happy.
I'm so happy.
Welcome to Live Fit with me, Stace Holland, the show where I help you find your fit and find your happy. So today we're talking about being healthy, but on a budget. Is being healthy really expensive, or is it just a perception that we have? Is it a case of changing our mindsets around the costs associated to being healthy, or is it a case of being more frugal or watching what we spend our money on? Well, that's exactly what I'm chatting to my guests about today. In fact, I have Gary Jackson, the owner of Jackson's Real Food Market, with me, as well as Nikki Robertson. She's a clinical nutritional therapist. I love working with them. I've worked with you guys for a while. It's an interesting topic. A lot of the times people say to me, I really do want to be healthy. I just can't afford it. Do you get tired of hearing that, Gary?
I do. You do hear it a lot. And it's generally from someone that isn't informed. Yes. They just don't know better.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Yeah, I hear you. Nick?
I think it's one of the biggest excuses for just not making healthy change, because it's absolutely incorrect. You know, if you plan and you prepare and you know what you are going to eat in a week and you do it methodically, you're going to save a fortune.
Yeah.
Because the more food is processed, the higher the ticket price.
Both of you are here because your personal journey is interwoven into your work.
Yeah,
at
and
the
so
end of the
many
day.
practitioners have been through a health crisis
It's so
themselves
true.
to have to
Yeah.
find another way. And I went through most of my younger years battling with weight and with endocrine issues, and I ate rubbish. You know, I would binge and fast and starve myself and eat all the wrong stuff, thinking that I was making healthy choices, because you see this packet at a supermarket and it looks healthy, but we don't know what's going on with those labels and all that rubbish in this food. It's not real food. So you're trying your best, but we're not informed. So I threw it all in and went back and studied nutrition to realize we've been led down the garden path most of the time. And most things that come in a packet with a list of ingredients are not food.
Do you think, Gary, it's a case of we've walked this journey, we've seen that it actually isn't that expensive, but we're forgetting that people are not where we are now? Or do you think there is an argument and a case for people that if you just plan your budget differently, or if you think of things differently, you'll see that being healthy isn't that expensive?
Yeah, and I don't think it's humanity's fault, because we don't get taught this stuff. Never in my schooling did I really study nutrition. I was never exposed to it. I was taught how to do woodwork, and that hasn't helped me much. But
we're meant to learn this in home economics then, maybe. I don't know.
The girls were just cooking muffins, and that's all I could
And
smell.
fudge.
And fudge, yeah, exactly. So, for me, I think a massive problem I had, because the first thing I did was go and find a dietitian who could help me decide what to eat. And, the fists come out.
Yeah.
This much protein, this much,
Yes,
this much. And, my biggest challenge was portion control. I mean, I just love food. I am a foodie. I do believe we were given a tongue with a whole bunch of taste buds.
For a reason.
And, life is tough, and you've got to also enjoy yourself. So what I did learn after a lot of anxiety was when I was put on an eating plan to log everything, and I had to, every time I went back, she kept saying, you've got to watch your portions, you've got to watch your portions. And I found that really, really difficult.
Yeah, I don't agree with portion sizing whatsoever. It just goes against human nature.
So I'm like furniture at Jackson's, particularly Bryanston, and I visit the Kyalami store. And when I say to people, let's go and eat there, the first thing is, isn't it a bit pricey? And I've actually had to do a little bit of education with my friends or family that comes there, because I buy most of my fresh produce at Jackson's. And we started doing those comparisons. How much does a bag of organic carrots at Jackson's cost versus any other market that says it's organic? And you did this exercise, you filmed an exercise where you went through certain items, and you found that it was either cheaper or on par. Was that always the intention? Because we spoke about the value chain, where you're getting all your produce from. Sometimes, yes, it takes a little bit more for people to understand that to get better quality, they're going to have to spend a little bit more. Where are we now in that healthy isn't necessarily expensive mindset?
I think one of the most exciting things is that prices may not be coming down, but everyone else is putting their prices up. And because we have a short supply chain and we don't have all these middlemen, we don't have this massive overhead structure. So what we're finding is that over time, either the prices are coming down slowly from the farmer, because we look after the farmer. And that's one thing that we feel very passionate about. The farmer we cannot give cheaper food to a customer at the expense of a farmer. That just doesn't sit consciously with us and our brand. So we make sure that the farmer's well looked after first. Because if you look after the farmer, he'll look after his land and he'll look after his produce and he will produce for you the absolute top quality stuff. And I think that's a principal shift and very different to mainstream food supermarkets.
Ultimately, it changes the system, which is what's got to happen if we're going to change our health, if it's going to change agriculture, if it's going to change biodiversity, if we're going to change just our food culture worldwide. We've got to encourage the shoppers to ask questions and expect retailers to be accountable. And this is a really good starting point. Otherwise, nothing's going to change and we're going to carry on getting sick and being dependent on pharmaceuticals.
Have you done any of these type of exercises where you've put any of your patients?
For sure.
Just talk to us about it.
So usually when someone comes to me for the first time, they're always concerned about the cost. And once they're into it, they realize they're not eating out as much. They're not consuming alcohol, which costs a fortune. They're not buying pre-prepared meals. And they go, actually, it's cheaper. And we can go as far as, you can live off frozen vegetables. There's nothing wrong with serving your family frozen vegetables every night. They're not less healthy for you than something that's off the shelf. In fact, very often there's more nutrition in a frozen vegetable than something that's been in cold storage for 12 months. There's nothing left in that apple. And, if you look at, for instance, 𝗧𝗛𝗡𝗞, there's chickens running around in the streets. Those are healthier chickens than the chickens you buy at some of the retailers.
So true.
Most of these places in the townships will grow their own vegetable gardens. They're not going to spray them with pesticides. This is stuff coming out of the ground. And if you can just make, the other perception is that you've got to change your life entirely, which is not true either. Even if you just do half, and you eat your pap cold, which is better for your blood sugar than eating it hot, that's going to change many people's lives. If you swap your Coke for water, it's cheaper. And it's going to change your life. And it's just understanding that you don't have to change everything completely. You don't have to take away the pleasure of life, because there's still got to be pleasure. If you just make one or two little tweaks, you can save a fortune and not get sick. And when you get through to individuals on that level, they go, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it was actually in my hands the whole time.
So when we talk about healthy on a budget, are there levels to it? Is it within certain tiers and brackets?
I think if cost is your big deciding factor of whether or not you're going to make healthy changes, you've got to shop in the perimeter.
And then does that become boring?
Not necessarily. That was, I believe emphatically that people don't stick to healthy eating because they're terrible cooks. Because they don't get adventurous. If you're going to boil your cauliflower every day, you're not going to go with that for very long. You've got to look at different cooking methods, and spices and seasonings do not cost a lot of money. Garlic does not cost a lot of money. The Mediterranean diet is supposedly one of the healthiest ways of eating. They don't spend a lot of money on food, but the techniques and the tricks and the ways of making it delicious and different is where they put a lot of focus. So there's a lot of technique that goes into making your food exciting. You don't have to go and buy almond flour. You can grind your own almonds.
I had to say about convenience. I think people are spending money on convenience as opposed to nutrition. If you buy cut up carrots, it's going to oxidize. There's no question about it. It's not going to be highly nutrient dense. So you're missing out on nutrients. I said earlier, buying in bulk is not always the right way. But if you go into a supermarket, and you'll always find either where you can fill a bag or you can buy a bag that's maybe unbranded or a house brand, you're often paying 30 to 40%. And we've proved that, and we have it in our shop. It's a biodegradable plastic bag filled with oats. And if you walk across and you find some of those fancy brands, health brands that we also stock, you're looking at a 40% saving, because you're not buying the brand anymore. You're just buying good oats that has a source. You're buying the food. So, I think if you get more conscious, you'll save a fortune. Then you'll be able to afford the holiday.
That's You've you've got to have more of a vested interest in your health, because then that's when the perception changes. You start to see where you actually could save and where you could actually invest a little bit more. You've got to become a little bit more creative, and then you've got to plan and involve the entire family. Whatever, if it's just a small unit, it's fine, but it's that collaboration and cooperation between everyone that allows the entire household to eat healthier. Well, I mean, those are some practical insights and tips. I mean, we'd love to hear from you guys as to how you've managed to eat healthier on a budget. Thanks for joining us on the show. It's so good to have you with us and to help people find their fit and find their happy as well. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So remember to follow us on social media and online as well at livefitwithstace.com and at livefitwithstace on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter as well. Looking forward to catching up with you. So this week's episode is all about being healthy on a budget. And when you have a limited budget to spend, you obviously don't want to be spending that on supplementation. If you're dealing with a particularly, I think, acute health condition, then perhaps you need to be consulting your practitioner, and then you'd want to apportion more of your budget to therapeutic doses of supplements. But in the case where generally you're quite healthy and you're just looking to maintain that health, or you have a restricted budget, then I don't think you should be blowing it on various supplements. But there are a few supplements that you are going to require, and the reason being is that we don't get everything that we need from our food. In an ideal world, we'd be able to get all the nutrients that we need from our food, but that's not happening. Our soils are depleted and we're just not getting what we need. So in some instances, you are going to have to supplement. I've chatted to a number of our experts, and on a basic level, most of them agree that a good multivitamin is okay. 𝗧𝗛𝗓𝗘 has sent over some multivitamins and some products to show us what could be used when you do have budget restrictions. But I would think the first thing that anyone needs, because gut health has been shown to improve immunity, or has been shown to be closely linked to immunity, is a good probiotic. So a good probiotic will have a number of strains in them, and 𝗧𝗛𝗓𝗘 sent over their probiotic, which is maximum potency. There are quite a few strains in here. You have Lactobacillus acidophilus, Sporogenes. You also have Saccharomyces cerevisiae and Bifidobacterium. But what's also nice about this product is there's prebiotic fiber in it. That's the food for the bacteria, or for the microbes. And then there are also digestive enzymes. So it's a sort of all-in-one digestive aid. And there are quite a few digestive enzymes, and that's what helps break down, for example, plant fiber and plant produce, actually. So generally speaking, great product. And the reason why I like it as well is that it doesn't need to be refrigerated as well. Then a good multivitamin, they've sent over two versions. You have one for people between the ages of 20 to 50, and then we also have 50 plus. The major differences that you'll probably experience between 20 to 50 and 50 plus are the anti-aging ingredients, something like resveratrol, which is great for preventing aging or maintaining good aging. It's good for mitochondrial health as well. And those are your energy units or organelles within your cells. And both of them are nutraceutical support with various micronutrients as well. And then I chatted to Dessen, and he recommends that if you're limited from a budget perspective, he believes the one supplement that you should have, apart from a probiotic, is a good omega-3. Omega-3 essential fatty acids are essential. Your body needs them. They're particularly good for maintaining heart health, for maintaining brain health, and for reducing inflammation in the body. And I have an omega-3 krill oil here. You want the ratio of EPA to DHA to be correct, but we'll get into that in more depth in one of the other episodes. But this one is derived from krill oil, so this is not your vegan or vegetarian option. But a good omega supplement is fantastic as well, according to Dr. Dessen Moodley, if you're limited from a budget perspective. So yeah, if you are looking to tighten the budget around supplementation, a good probiotic, a good omega, and then a good multivitamin are our top 3 supplement choices.
So healthy on a budget can only really be tested when you actually go shopping. So I've brought together 𝗧𝗛𝗓𝗘 and Natasha today. They're both bloggers, but they're moms, and they've also made certain changes in their family's diet to ensure that the entire family eats healthier. We're going to see if we can take their recipes, their grocery list for a week and shop. We're at Jackson's right now and shop and see if it would suit their family's budget for the week or for the month. We'll find out whether they agree that it is possible to be healthy on a budget, and how so, because I think there are times where it is really accessible, and there are other times where you may be a little bit reluctant to splurge. They clearly agree with me. So guys, I know that you both sent your menus to us, and I must admit that they're both quite healthy actually. So you've clearly made changes in your family's diet and lifestyle. Like 𝗧𝗛𝗡, you took out, I think it's gluten, dairy, and
Sugar.
Okay, so you've removed sugar completely.
Well, I mean, I removed as much sugar as possible.
Yeah.
I don't add any sugar, raw sugar to anything.
Okay.
We'll have sweetness from honey. We'll have some sweetness from dates here and there. But as far as I can control it, I don't add any sugar.
Isn't that tough for you guys? Or is it easier? You can control what your kids eat at home, and then do they crave it when they go out to parties, or do they come back and say, I've got a sore tummy because I ate so many sweets?
I think our kids are actually in tune to eating what we feed them.
Okay.
And as parents, I think we often make the excuse, my kids are not going to eat it. So,
that's true.
So in my house, you will try everything at least once.
Okay.
And then you can decide if you don't like it. But you've got to try it first.
Yeah.
So I've got to work really hard in the kitchen.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But my kids eat anything I cook.
So, I mean, dairy, for argument's sake, is more because it flares up our eczema.
Yeah.
And so I've just limited dairy. For me, completely, I cut out dairy. I'll substitute with almond milk or coconut milk or whatever what I can substitute. My kids, I limit them. They'll have a yogurt cup once or maybe 3 times a week at most.
Okay.
And then gluten for gut health. We all in our house seem to suffer from
some form of
gut issue.
Okay.
So gluten-free pasta, brown rice, we have a lot of, or I'll go for the corn couscous as opposed to just normal couscous, just to try and make us feel better in the day.
Okay. So we had this conversation about buying in bulk versus buying every 3 or 4 days. What works for you guys?
I don't buy in bulk. Food I don't buy in bulk.
Okay.
I buy basically as I go.
Is that fresh food?
Fresh food.
What about non-perishables?
Oh, non-perishables, I'm happy to do bulk.
Okay.
But fresh food for me, my vegetables, my fruit, I buy twice or once a week. And I only buy what I need to consume. I won't buy apples, pears, bananas, oranges all at once.
Yeah.
I would buy what can we consume now.
And do you think that's cheaper and more cost effective, or is it just because if you're buying better quality, it's not going to last the entire week?
I just don't want my kids to waste.
And the big misconception is that if you're eating healthy, it's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
But with meal prepping, that's a very good way to save time and money.
Okay.
So I would buy, for instance, a cabbage. I mean, a cabbage is fairly big. You're not going to use it all in one meal. So I will buy once a week, and then I prep it.
Okay.
So I wash and I cut, and I put them into airtight containers, and they're in my fridge. So if you want to make a stir fry, it's ready, cut, and it saves you time. If you're a working mom, guess what? It's not going to take you 2 hours in the evening.
Yeah. And do you shop from more than one place? Do you say, okay, at X store, I know I'm going to get this cheaper, and then at Y store, okay. So would you be willing to shop in more whole food markets like this, or do you think it is still a little bit unrealistic given the budgetary constraints?
I think it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Because products are more focused towards health.
Yeah.
And fitness, and that industry can be quite expensive. There's so many products on the shelf, it can be very overwhelming. So I will buy certain things, I'll shop here, and I'll get my veggies here.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking for meat, I might get it somewhere else.
Okay.
If you're looking for organic products, you want to get it here.
Yeah.
So it just depends what you're
looking for.
You're the same.
I agree. I'm a mom. I work from home. So for me, I'm always careful about my money and where I spend it. And I'm the type of person that will see where the best specials at.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, I have the time to do that. But I mean, for me, it's about saving the extra money. And I mean, when I save it, I feel like I can do other things with it. But it's important for me.
So I shop here quite a bit, and I think I do know the prices pretty well. We're going to go and shop for both of your weekly grocery lists. If I make a change, it's only because I'm cognizant of your budget.
I'm happy. I am surprised. And then, of course, I would spend a little bit more on extra fruit, like a treat.
Under 1,000. So I'm super impressed that it's under 1,000.
So when it comes to working out and healthy on a budget, many people think of a home gym. And when I think of home gyms that I had in the past, it consisted of big, bulky machinery that we never actually used at the end of the day. So I think the best thing is to develop a home workout area or a home gym that you can actually use. Now, I'm a fan of rebounding, and so is 𝗧𝗛𝗓𝗘. So I thought I'd chat to her because she's developed workouts for you. She's developed some apparatus. She even has fancy shoes that you can use on the rebounder. And I can't think of anyone else more experienced, especially from a travel perspective, to chat to about being healthy on a budget and creating workouts on a budget. So Lise, thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, Stace.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that you're a rebound queen now.
That was my goal. I promise you, 2 years ago, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become the rebounding queen of SA. And I'm so glad that you think I am.
You are. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we chatted about, I use mine predominantly for Tony Robbins style affirmations,
Yes.
but I loved it from the minute I started doing it. It's great for the lymphatic system, but we both acknowledged that there was very limited material out there if you wanted to follow a program that was free.
Yep.
I'm sure you could have downloaded some stuff back then, but it was
Struggled
also
to
very
find it.
difficult to find it. So you decided to create an entire package for people.
Absolutely. Well, I was 5 months postpartum. I had this like really bad jelly belly. Hey, I promise you, it's the truth. It is the truth. It was like 13 kgs of this wobble and cellulite, and I couldn't take it anymore. And we went to our farm in the Midlands, and I don't actually, to this day, I don't know what made me pack it, because I was using my rebounder only at home. So I took it with me to the farm, and then I started looking for workouts because I was very tired of jogging on the spot, jumping jacks, side washing machine. I was like, come on, this is so boring.
I need more.
I need more. So I was online, and then obviously the signal in the middle of nowhere is terrible. So I had this like stop-start intermittent signal, which was so frustrating. But then also what I found was so limited. A lot of it was in Brazilian, different language, shot with this hectic music, with this crazy stuff. And I just had a baby. So it was too intense for me. And it was from the back of
power rebounding almost.
Like intense. All this like boot camp stuff where you're jumping mainly off and on the rebounder, which is kind of against the point, because you're meant to be rebounding on it to avoid impact.
Exactly.
Not jumping on and off of it, you know? So
onto a hard surface.
Yeah, so that was like against the whole thing. So I just decided there's a massive gap here. I loved it. I loved how it made me sweat, how it made my core very, very stiff. So that's when I knew it was working the area that I really needed to target after a baby. And so I came back and I started studying and trying different classes and, you know, kind of investigating, researching online, playing around with my own style. And I am a personal trainer. So my style of rebounding is less dancey and choreographed. I have a few songs that I play around with just to up the tempo in the class, get everybody grooving. But mainly it's sort of personal training on a rebounder. So we use a whole range of accessories and stuff that's actually not too heavy, because when you rebound, it's 3 times the force of gravity. So 1.5 kg weight is actually like a 4.5 kg weight. So we never go higher than 2 kgs, even for guys.
It's interesting you mentioned the guys, because I got my hubby to do it because he was like, what is that thing going to do? You know what I mean? And then the next day you refused to tell me how stiff he was. It only came out afterwards. And he's super impressed that, you know, the entire body workout, but particularly the abdominals and the core. You feel it there, right? In your calves.
I got like my tummy back. I was so nervous.
I think psychologically that affects you more than you can imagine.
I was so uncomfortable wearing a couple of sizes up and just feeling really quite, I had also suffered from P&D. So I was really in not a great space. And rebounding has really helped me so much. Not only from just weight loss, toning, all that kind of thing, but it's also helped my immune system.
Well, it's great for apparently boost serotonin production because of how it impacts the digestive system and obviously
and the lymphatic
system as well.
So that's a big thing. It's actually endorsed by the Cancer Association, which is like really exciting.
So because the episode is all about healthy on a budget, what are we looking for as like an entry level sort of starter kit that people can say, okay, I'd be willing to invest in that. Obviously, you can go up from there.
Yes.
And what do you think the benefits are of that? You know, like investing
so
in
I mean,
that.
we do these sort of bundles because I believe that just the rebounder on its own is pretty pointless. So we do sell it.
And that's when it gets boring.
Yeah, 2250 is kind of what you're looking at.
Okay.
And then 100 Rand for delivery fee, or you can collect it, which is like, people like that option. But I like the accessories. So you can start rebounding, especially if you just buy the little support bar or the T-bar with no accessories. And then you can start building on them.
So just before we try out the workout, you've developed something for kids as well, which means that the whole family can rebound.
Absolutely. So this was the next thing, was like, what do we do for children? Now you've got this rebounder. The kids are automatically drawn to it, like a bee to honey. I swear.
My dog
bee
is
to a
drawn
flower,
to it.
I should say. But your dog, as a nice bed, a rated bed, because there's air coming from underneath. So we take kids on a journey. So
Nice.
it's a warm up and a cool down, and there's obviously the safety guard and all those things you have to like legally do. But we take kids on a journey with magical songs, a script, beautiful sort of backgrounds, animation, graphics, the whole thing. And then the whole family gets to use the same piece of equipment. Then it becomes very cost effective.
Exactly, and that's what we want at the end of the day. So LiveFit with Stace is divided into 4 segments: think, eat, move, and of course track. In track, we help you track your health and wellness journey with various technologies, devices, and information, sometimes apps. In this episode, since we're talking about healthy on a budget, I've invited 𝗠𝗢𝗪𝗡𝗡. He is a commissioner of financial literacy and nanoeconomics. Yes, I got it.
You did. Perfect.
Lamuli is going to chat to us about various things that we could do to maintain our fiscus, our personal fiscus, right? Our budget that we've put aside or set aside for the month, for the year when it comes to health and wellness. We know that these costs are increasing. We know that people are challenged, often torn between medical aids, eating healthy, supplementation, doctor's visits now where you have to pay cash. Various activities, gym memberships. You know, how do you actually make sure that you can be healthy on a budget?
Now, those are very good questions, and it is challenging in our times.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot that we can do at home, for example. When I wake up in the morning, I've got a trigger. Before I shower, I do 30 push-ups.
Okay.
So that's my trigger, that before I shower, I have to do 30 push-ups, and it doesn't cost you anything to do push-ups. Something that I also did personally was intermittent fasting. And with intermittent fasting, you're essentially eating less, therefore you have to buy less food.
Yeah, because you shorten the window in which you eat and you lengthen the window in which you would normally fast. So you extend your sleeping, fasting period throughout the day.
Another one that I find happens a lot is gym membership.
Yeah.
A lot of people's money is very strong. They money gyms every single day, every single month, but you find that they themselves are not actually at the gym.
Yeah.
So I think look for gyms that give you the option of just being there once a month. I mean, paying once a month, rather than being tied into a 24-month contract.
Because some people would say that those month-to-month gym memberships add up in the long run, but they're forgetting the fact that if you take out a 6-month membership or 12-month membership, that if you don't use it, you end up spending money. And as you said, your money's not working for you.
Exactly. And also, but if you are stuck in a very long-term gym contract, the Consumer Protection Act actually does allow you to get out of it. Obviously, you pay some penalties, but not the full 24 months.
Okay. What else are you seeing?
So I think eating healthy is sometimes just seen as predominantly expensive. But what I would think is the healthier you eat, chances are the less meat is in your diet. Okay. And meat is a very expensive product.
Yeah, you're not saying take it out completely.
Yes.
You can just reduce it at the end of the
maybe
day.
make it a Friday and 7 colors.
Yeah.
And what I found is, so 2 years back, we moved from normal rice to brown rice. And in as much as when you purchase it and you look at the price and you look at the kgs,
Yeah, it can be a bit pricey sometimes.
Are you sure, honey? Do we really need this brown rice? You know? But when you then start having it, you see that it actually lasts a very long time.
You eat less as well.
And it's filling. It's filling, so you actually use a little bit at any given time. So I would argue that it might not be as expensive as it comes across to be.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a lot healthier.
What about apps and things like that? Does it help does it help people to use an app when they're budgeting? Do you know of any good apps or technology that you would recommend?
We have a system called the 𝗧𝗛𝗡𝗚𝗘 budgeting system, TBS.
I'm interested. Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, so 𝗧𝗛𝗡𝗚𝗚 is a big thing in South Africa, and I thought it made sense that you group your money in different 𝗧𝗛𝗡𝗚𝗚 boxes.
Okay.
So the acronym spells I see self.
Okay.
Because as you said, your relationship with health determines everything else that happens with your health, right? So your relationship with money, if you're not tracking it, if you're not measuring it, determines everything that happens. So I usually start with that 𝗧𝗛𝗚𝗚 budgeting system.
That's powerful, because the whole point of track, and the reason why I included it in the segments of the show, is because you cannot change or improve that which you cannot measure.
Exactly.
So before I let you go, have you finished penning your first book, or are we still finishing it off, or when can we expect something from you?
Okay, no, the book is nearly there. Okay. We should be done by latest January, early Jan. It's called Winning the Money Game, A Guide to Financial Well-Being. And I was very intentional about financial well-being, because the narrative that's being pushed is financial freedom. And people think that the ultimate retirement is financial freedom and sitting at a beach somewhere. Do that for like 10 days and you'll probably get bored.
You'll get bored, yeah. Well, it's the same thing when people set health goals. They're like, I want to fit into the bikini, or I want to wear that dress. And then you wear the dress, and then what? Or you get to the beach destination and you fit into the bikini, and then what? So it's the same type of mindset.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show and sharing those pearls of wisdom. We'll look forward to the book, and we'll share that with everyone. And I suppose if I can sum up the episode, healthy on a budget at the end of the day means changing your mindset, changing your perception. And that is possible. It doesn't cost you anything to change your mindset at the end of the day. Thanks so much for watching the show. Remember, we have a wealth of resources from all the segments of this episode, and it'll all be available on www.livefitwithstace.com.